So backstory, I used to work at the Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, Alabama. They had a loop of this video of the Apollo 11 capsule splashing down and then this helicopter going to pick them up. Matter of fact, we have the video right here. I have seen this video 7 billion times, John, over and over and over again. Okay, which one are you popping out of the helicopter right there?
That was the first one out.
The first one out. The first one out.
I was the sea anchor man, so my job was to swim up to the capsule and attach that parachute-like sea anchor. There's a current out in the ocean, and there was swells that day that were about 7 feet. And so in order to stabilize the capsule, before you can put that flotation bladder around, you got to put an anchor on it. And then I was joined by the two others, and they had that 200-pound flotation collar that went around the capsule to secure it. I think it was in one of the Gemini flights that the capsule sunk in the ocean.
Yeah.
And from that point on, they called on Frogman to come and help secure the capsule so they wouldn't lose another one. And
that was quite controversial. They lost it. NASA was very upset about that. So you had a huge job. Huge job.
Bell 7 or something.
Okay, so as they were landing, we were so excited about them being on the moon, but they weren't on the moon very long. They were probably longer in that capsule floating on the water than they were actually on the moon.
Not quite, but yeah.
What was the, could you see them when you jumped out and you got up there, could you see them through the window?
My job was to look in that hatch window. There was a NASA helicopter up above. In fact, there was quite a few helicopters, but the NASA doctor wanted a thumbs up. The astronauts looked out and gave me that thumbs up, and I returned it to the helicopter, and then I proceeded to put that sea anchor on the capsule.
That's wild. Yeah. You really were the first person to greet these spacemen.
Yeah. 20 years old. Now we're dinosaurs.
No, sir. No, sir. Okay, so some of the things that now that we know, we didn't know then. So we sent some people to the moon, but we didn't know if there was like some sort of amoebas or weird microbes and stuff like that. So this had to be a very tight situation.
Yeah, NASA had a back decontamination procedure going on. So we had to be on open scuba. That meant that we had to jump out of the helicopter with a tank on. That was about 50 pounds. And the sea anchor was about another 6 to 8 pounds. And so we had to do the work in the water with that load on our backs, but we were required not to go off the scuba. And then the fourth Frogman had a biological isolation garment on, and his job was to wash down that capsule. That was Clancy Helleberg. The hatch door was open, and the astronauts were given 3 of those biological isolation garments, big suits for short. And then they came out into the raft, and they were washed down. And then all of us came in close, and we lifeguarded them so they wouldn't drown if they missed a Billy Pugh net that took them up in the helicopter.
This is crazy. I can't believe you were there, man.
Yeah.
I cannot believe you're like the Walmart greeter of the world, brother. It's so incredible. Okay, so it's been 50 years. It's been 50 years.
It'll be 50 in July.
So looking back on this experience and now that we're talking about the moon and stuff, did you think that this was going to be it, basically? I mean, we had a couple more moon flights and stuff like that, but when you had this experience, did you think, well, clearly we're going to move up there. It's going to be there all the time.
We didn't know. We thought maybe they would go on to bigger places, but they stopped. Then they went into the space shuttle, and now they're back to the Orion. And people are talking going back to the moon. Now we have the Space Force, Donald Trump, and we've got independent people wanting to take civilians off into space. But we're going back to the moon, it looks like.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be
exciting.
Something.
It was so fun to be there. You know, a hometown kid, 2 years out of high school, 20 years old. Who would ever believe that you'd have an opportunity to be a part of history? And now on this tour that I'm on, I get to relive it again. And this is probably going to be the biggest reunion, the 50-year mark. One of the astronauts, Neil Armstrong, has already passed away. And probably before the next 10 years, we won't have the other 2 astronauts with us. And maybe the attention now will be going on to Mars and other places, but this is the big one.
Yeah.
Out in Alameda, California, we got the USS Hornet Museum, and I'm sure they'll be doing some special things towards July because that was the recovery ship out there.
John, thank you so much for coming over. I really appreciate it. Now, you're giving a couple speeches this weekend. Where are you going to be? I'll
be at the Woodland Grace Point Church at 10 o'clock, and that's going to be in Woodland. And then 2 o'clock in Vacaville, that's the Pentecostals at Vacaville. So 2 services on Sunday, and we'd love to see the people come out. We have a display of pictures, and my book will be for sale as well.
Excellent. I was just about to ask you, can we get this on your website?
You can.
Okay.
JohnWolfram.com.
Excellent. Yeah, you definitely check it out, man. You were a part of huge history, my friend.
Thank
and
you,
then
Cody.
one more question for you. Your scuba suit.
You know, on Apollo 10, we put a flower decal on that hatch window. NASA had a fit, and they told us no tomfoolery in this one. So it's the 60s, you know, and you can cut a guy's hair and put a uniform on him, but it's hard to take that free spirit of an individual. And so I put those flower decals on me, you know, peace, not war, during the middle of the Vietnam conflict.
Fascinating. Thank you, John. Nice to meet you, man. Seriously, I've seen you more times than I've seen anything else in my whole entire life, man. All right.